So if you watched the last video, that was more of a generic overview of kind of the space where the boxes exist and some thoughts about them. This video will be a little bit more specifically about this very box and how I've done some things with this. Maybe you can incorporate them, maybe not. Maybe we'll look at how I've done the shock here, how this has been, how a door intended code lock system has been installed on this. If you remember also with respect to the shock, it was a bit of a pinch problem, and let's see what happens here. That's a lot better. It's not great, but it's certainly much better than I'm going with it. I also did a thing with pins on the hinge, which actually I think is probably the thing that I like the most about this box, and it was just probably the most easy for somebody else to implement. So we'll just get started with those hinge pins first. So spoiler alert, the hinges are not hooked up on this. The hinges are not connected to the actual box. This is unlocked. We'll lock this up. The hinges are not connected. This has been pinned back here, similar to the way you would do door pins on a door, but a little different. And again, this is not even hooked up. This is attacking the hinges is a pretty standard weak spot on pretty much everybody's boxes, whether people make them or you buy them. And pinning them is actually pretty inexpensive and easy to do. And as you can see, the hinges are not actually connected. They're right here. So we'll get a close-up of what's happened down there. So this is a closer view of the hinge pin. This is actually a wood screw. What you're looking at here is the inside of the inside of the box. This is the back. This is the back wall. You can see up here, this is the shock support, or the lid support on the door. This is the underside of the lid, and this is the back. So we're going to close this. The hinges are in under here, and we'll close that, and that's going to engage with that rotten little hole there. So this is the lid. It's been removed from the box. As you can see, that's the keypad. I want to show you two features of this thing before I take all of this off. One thing you'll notice is that there is no power on this right now. It's because I've taken the batteries out. And I've taken the batteries out. They've been out for about 2 days. There is a code set in here. This particular Hugo Log unit has an emergency power function on it, which is not found on all of the home door lock applications. This is we're looking at the inside of the box, and we'll deal with that in a second. But you can notice that there's no batteries. Normally there would be 4 AA batteries in here. Battery life on these has been excellent. I've actually been pretty surprised. So what we'll do is we'll flip you over. This is the keypad. Maybe you can see it. There is a small mini USB port in there. Mr. Bat. With a mini USB adapter on it. And then we'll plug that in the base. And the whole thing jumps to life. So there's a button here so that you can reset the computer on it. I'm not doing that. We'll see what happens. That would be because it's unlocked. So we'll lock it. So we'll put the bolt out and we'll try it now. So that's cool. This has been there. The batteries have been out of this for about 2 days, and if there was a, this is obviously remembering the codes even after you lose power on it, which is particularly nice on this one, as you can't get to the other side of it if it's locked and you lose power. That's something with the other door units that might not happen. thing that's particular with this is that if the small children get locked in your box for whatever funny reason, this, you can actuate the bolt on here. This should probably have something glow in the dark on it, but we'll deal with that and whatever. If you had put a hasp with a lock on your box and somebody had locked their friend inside your box, that would be problems. I'll probably include a link to any number of videos of small children that have locked themselves in gun safes. So this is the underside of the lid. As you can see here, this is the handle. This is a standard stairway handrail and the mounting for that, which seems to be working out okay. I'm going to pan you up a little bit here. And what we're really going to be focusing on is this. This is the Hugo Log door unit. That's the bolt for it. This is mounted pretty much as you would in a standard door. Again, these batteries, if I haven't mentioned already, these are the original batteries that I put in, and the battery life on this has been excellent. I've really worked this over a lot here, just trying to make this thing work out. So this comes off. There's a plate underneath here. This is the cable that comes with it. I've extended this. I found this is a 10-pin cable. This is a 10-pin cable, and I found a 10-pin computer connector, and I just extended this, and you can figure that out. It would be nice if Hugo Log included that, but I don't think that's what Hugo Log is about. So I had to make my own. I've got 2 screws. This fit a little strangely, as there's some architecture under here, which had to sit on there. Again, this is a standard, if you've ever installed a doorknob at a regular door, this is kind of the action that's going on here. This will pull out as well. And hopefully that'll come out nicely. And that's it. So this is what was provided by the Hugo Log, and that's just, it has engages in this guy. Originally, I was going to try and replace it. I was going to try and replace this with this latch. This lid would have worked totally differently with the latch. I was not able to make this latch work with the Hugo Log. So again, Hugo Log, extension cable. The keypad is underneath right here. There's 2 anchor screws to the keypad, and well, we're just going to leave that there. This is just a piece of steel that I just drilled some holes into. So this is going to feed through a hole, and we'll look at that from the other side. Alright, so as you can see, this is the keypad, and the screws have been taken out from the underside, and we'll just sort of lift this out from the hole. And we'll pull a little bit of this cable up. Perhaps you can see, this is the cable, this is the extension. These are 2 extended pins that go into holes, and this is where the fasteners are. Underneath, if we take this off, yeah, we'll do it. All right, so if we take this off, oh crap. So this was the side, this is the side that is anchored, as perhaps you can see with the glop. This side of the cable is anchored on there. It's the other side that's on the bolt unit, which you can unclip this and totally separate the whole thing from each other. We're not doing that. So what I'm going to do is I've got this off, and I'm going to put some sealing glop around here, and then I'm just going to put some decent tape over this. These are the connectors. Let's get a good look at that. So these are the connectors on the other side where you would plug the backup battery into. This little pin, this little button right here, that's the reset. They suggest that you hit the reset button after you put alternative power on there. I've never have, and it's worked out fine. So we're going to do that, and then we'll look at some other stuff. Truth be told, not thinking about this too much. This is glop. This is what I happen to have around. I imagine anything that you got, nice. Anything that you got will pretty much work out. I'm just going to throw a bead around this and then clean it up. And not think about it too much. You know, this keypad is not necessarily intended to be oriented the way that I have it here, and that's too bad. And we're just going to sort of see how it works out, and hope for the best. Again, this I didn't think about what I'm doing here too much. We'll feed that back in. And then we'll clean up around the edges. This is intended to cure clear, and that'll be fine. And then we'll put the bolts in from underneath and put some tape on the back side here, and we'll call that a day. This is the underside of the lid. This is the back section where the hinges are. As you can see, I only have 2 hinges back here. These are hinges that I had laying around. In retrospect, I should have used a single long piano hinge. It's like a big long hinge that ran in this whole section. And one of the things I discovered is that if you can see here, this is the mount for the shock, which, well, you can barely see that at all. But there's only one. There's not 2. And what has happened is that this has kind of created a slight twisting motion with this lid, where if I had a full-length piano hinge, would have been better. These 2 twist a little bit. It's okay. But again, retrospect, would have rather gone with a piano hinge. So before we look at the shocks from the inside, I just wanted to show you this from the side, and you'll notice that this does not open over 90 degrees. It opens significantly less than. If we take this shock off here. So the nice thing about being able to open up this far is that it'll stay open like this, and eventually when that shock fails, which could happen in colder weather, it's not providing any support. So if it only opens up this much, there's not any support, and you'll have to add something in there. Whereas if it opens over 90 degrees, it'll stay there, and you could do a strap or something like that, and that'll be fine. But that's sort of the nature of having the shock, and I'm sort of hoping that it won't fail too bad, but we'll see what happens. So this is a TV table, which has been cut down pretty simply. The idea is that it's not so high, and frankly most of our packages are going to be smaller stuff. so that it's just a little bit easier to deal with rather than having to have somebody just totally reach in here and do the whatever. Nicer touch, maybe not essential. This thing, if there's more space needed, that can obviously be folded up and either pushed off to the side or taken out entirely. But we're talking about shock supports. So you'll notice I only have one. You'll see how they mount on here. Shocks, picking out shocks was probably the most annoying part of this whole process. Looking through what everybody was selling on the internets, do I want to get a hinge that incorporates lid support? Do I want to get shocks that have a soft close function, adjustable, different prices all over the place? These all come in pairs, and I only needed one. This was my first pair that I got. These shocks are mostly listed in, I believe it's Newton meters, as opposed to pounds. Really doesn't matter very much. However, these are 100 Newton meter lid supports. Two of these was not enough to support this lid the way that I wanted it. This is 300. This is a 300 Newton meter lid support. Two of these was too much. However, one of them works. Challenge is that this is actually what I wanted, where it kind of supports itself right there and it's not very challenging. However, it's only mounted on one side, so when it's closed or it's open, it puts a slight twisting motion on this lid. This lid, which we've seen throughout the video, by itself is 30 pounds. This is 30 pounds of wood and whatever junk. So that's a challenge that needs to be supported. You know, the only thing I can suggest with respect to picking out shocks is you're gonna have to try some different stuff. There's a lot of different calculators that vendors provide you. Look through the reviews of the products, as a lot of people post their reviews on what kind of doors that they were putting stuff on, and I found that pretty helpful. So to wrap this thing up, there's a couple things that I missed, one of which was pretty significant. With respect to these shock supports, this is a 30-pound lid, and I'm pretty happy with how easy this is to open and close, and it's not too dramatic. That gets accomplished a lot by changing the mounting points, both the upper and lower mounting points, which change how torque is delivered to this lid. That's going to be something you're just going to have to surf with. Another thing, I have drains. I've drilled drain holes in the bottom of this and sealed them up. Excuse me. I drilled drain holes and sealed the edges of the drains out so that it can drain out water, but it doesn't become a source of water intrusion. Big point is that you can save yourself a lot of aggravation and maybe some money by just buying a porch box solution that other people are selling. And there's more of them available as we move forward into the future. I'm sure some of them are very good, and I'm sure some of them are very bad. A number of them may have the same problems that you would get from anything, which is that these supports may fail in either super hot or super cold weather. They may also have problems where if the batteries fail and they don't have a way to get power into it, you know, this is locked up and you're pretty much hosed. So those are things that you can think about when you're purchasing other stuff. I did overthink this quite a bit, and I did that consciously. There was a lot of different stuff that I just wanted to play with and try to incorporate, particularly the hinge pins I liked. I totally could have gotten away with something much more simple than this, but you know, I just did it. And with that, I think we'll just close this out, and I'll wish you good luck on your adventure keeping your stuff secured on your porch.